Author's POV. Namjoon sat in his office, staring blankly at the glowing city beyond the tinted glass. His pen unmoving between his fingers. Something was wrong, he felt it in his bones. Ever since Jungkook whisked Win away on that jet, a quiet panic had lodged itself under his ribs. He shouldn't care this much, but he did. Too much. Jimin knocked once before entering. Hyung, you're doing it again, he said softly, crossing his arms, pacing, frowning, checking your phone every 2 minutes. What's going on? Namjoon didn't answer. Jimin stepped closer, studying him. It's about YN, isn't it? The pen slipped from Namjoon's fingers. Hyung, Jimin pressed. She's a married woman. And you don't even look at women. You never have. The whole world thinks you're either married to your work or secretly into men because you've rejected every model that breathes around you. So why her? Why is she the only one who gets under your skin? Namjoon exhaled slowly, the kind of breath that carried years' worth of unsaid words. You won't let this go, will you? Namjoon muttered. No, Jimin said gently. Because this isn't you. Silence. Then Namjoon leaned back in his chair, eyes softening with a kind of ache he had never allowed anyone to witness. I met her the same day Jungkook did, he confessed. First day of college. She walked onto campus like she didn't know she could bring the whole world to its knees. Jimin blinked. You loved her since then. Namjoon gave a small, pained smile. She held her books wrong, he said quietly. That's what caught my attention. Everyone else saw her beauty first. Jungkook saw a girl he wanted to claim. He swallowed, voice rough. But I saw someone I wanted to protect. Jimin froze. Namjoon continued, each word heavier than the last. I left Seoul for a few weeks, just a few. And when I came back, Jungkook's father was dead. Jungkook had taken the entire empire, the mafia throne and the business world, without blinking. His eyes dimmed. And Wen was already his wife. Jimin's throat tightened. You didn't even get a chance. Namjoon shook his head slowly. She never noticed me, never looked at me the way she looked at him, and I respected that. I stayed away. His jaw clenched. But Jungkook, what he's capable of doing for her and to her, that's what terrifies me. Jimin softened. Hyung, you still love her. Namjoon didn't deny it. He just whispered, almost to himself. I don't want her for myself. I just want her safe. That's all I ever wanted. Even if it means protecting her from afar. But the truth slipped through in the tremor of his voice. A quiet, devastating confession he'd carried for years. I loved her first. I just loved her silently. Jimin swallowed hard, staring at Namjoon as if seeing a stranger in front of him. Hyung, have you ever told YN? He asked quietly. Namjoon's jaw tightened, eyes dropping to the floor. Yes, he murmured. Jimin's eyes widened. You confessed. Namjoon nodded once, slowly. But I didn't get to finish, he said bitterly. Jungkook walked in before I could even finish the sentence. He created a huge scene. His hands curled into fists. That night chaos broke out. Threats. He rubbed his forehead as if trying to erase the memory. Jimin watched him, heart breaking a little at the sight of a usually composed man. Namjoon stood up abruptly, pacing. I should go to Jeju. No, I shouldn't. That would be crossing a line. I should stay here. Give them space. But something is wrong. Can feel it. My mind is not at peace. Not even for a second. He gripped his head with both hands, torn in half by loyalty and longing. Jimin couldn't handle it anymore. Hyung, he said firmly, stepping in front of Namjoon. Come with me to Jeju. Namjoon's head snapped up. We'll go for a break, Jimin insisted. Just a few days. Clear your mind. Relax. And, he hesitated before finishing, you'll be close to Wayne. Close enough to make sure she's okay. Namjoon froze. That was the exact temptation he'd been fighting. I shouldn't, he whispered. She's married. I'm not supposed to. But you care, Jimin said gently. And you're dying here. Watching the walls won't help anyone. Let's go. Vacation. Breather. Nothing more. Namjoon stared at him for a long moment. He knew he was crossing a line, stepping into a space Jungkook would burn down the world to protect. But his heart was louder than his logic. And right now it clouded everything. Fine, Namjoon breathed out finally. Book the jet. Jimin let out a relieved sigh. Within an hour, they were walking across the tarmac toward Namjoon's private jet, the engines humming low in the night. Namjoon paused at the steps, looking up. His heart whispered the truth he couldn't say out loud. I'm coming when... even if I shouldn't. And he boarded. Not as a man in control, but as a man willingly losing himself for the one woman he was never allowed to love. Please stay safe. Jungkook, please don't ruin me. Author's POV. Trembling under his stare and in his arms begging him to not ruin her, something which no women go through. Please JK. Kook, I'm really not ready for the baby. Jungkook, when you're my wife and I know I promised you something that I would give you time till you're 25. But I can't wait no more. He threw Wayne on his shoulders. Wayne started wiggling cause that's the only thing she could do to protect herself. Jungkook slowly put her on the bed as if she is a fragile glass and she might break at any given point. Just when Jungkook was about to kiss her, Wayne places her hands on her chest and her tears flowing down her eyes. Jungkook, I'm really tired, please let's not do it today. Please. Jungkook looked down at her trembling lips, her pleading eyes, her shaking hands pressed against his chest. But he didn't move. Not an inch. Because something inside him had already snapped. Her fear, her hesitation, her begging him to stop. It struck the wrong nerve in him, the nerve. His jaw flexed, breath dragging out slowly through his nose as a cold, poisonous thought wrapped around his mind like barbed wire. Why is she stopping me? His gaze darkened, sliding over her face, reading every flinch, every swallow, every hesitation. It's not like we haven't done this before, he thought, a low anger clawing its way up his spine. Not like her body isn't already familiar with mine. Not like she hasn't taken everything I've given her. Then another thought, darker, sharper, sliced through him. Does she love someone else? The idea was absurd, ridiculous, impossible. Yet the moment it entered his mind, it refused to leave. His fingers tightened on her waist. His eyes turned lethal. His entire body went rigid. Why? He whispered, voice so low it sent a shiver down her spine. Are you stopping me, Angel? Wayne's breath hitched. She knew that tone, the one where Jungkook's jealousy turned into something feral, something that didn't listen to reason. Jungkook leaned closer, nose brushing against her cheek, lips ghosting her ear. You've never stopped me before, he murmured, each word dripping with accusation. So why tonight? She shook her head frantically. Jungkook, no, I'm scared. He laughed under his breath, cold hollow sound. Scared, he echoed. Of me? Her silence felt like betrayal, and that betrayal fed the wildfire already burning through him. His next whisper crawled down her spine like ice. Or are you scared because your heart isn't mine anymore? His grip tightened. His eyes searched hers, desperate and furious at the same time. Tell me, Wayne, he breathed. Who the hell are you trying to protect from me? Wayne froze. Completely. Because Jungkook's question wasn't a threat. It was a wound. A broken, bleeding place inside him that she had never seen so clearly. He held her face between his palms, eyes burning into hers like he wanted to rip the truth straight out of her soul. Answer me, he whispered, soft, deadly, trembling. Who are you trying to protect from me? Wayne tried to move, tried to speak, but her throat locked up. Her lips parted, air rushed out. And no one. Lie. He felt it. He felt it in the way her lashes trembled, in the way her pulse jumped beneath his fingers. Jungkook's breath hitched. His chest rose sharply. His jaw clenched so tight it trembled. Don't lie to me, he breathed. His thumb stroked her cheek, slow, gentle, terrifying, because the kindness was worse than the anger. You think I won't notice, he whispered. You think I won't feel it when something in you changes? Wayne shook her head, desperate, tears burning behind her eyes. I didn't, I'm not. But Jungkook leaned closer, his forehead pressing to hers, breath shaky, words breaking. Is there someone else? His voice cracked. Is that why you're pulling away? Her lips parted again to deny it, to reassure him. But one name crashed into her panicked mind. Namjoon. The way he cared. The way he looked at her. The way he tried to help her. And that moment of hesitation. The moment her breath hitched at the thought. Was all the answer Jungkook needed. Because his entire body went still. Completely still. Like he'd been shot. He pulled back just enough to see her face, eyes narrowing as he studied every flicker of guilt, fear, confusion. And then softly, oh so softly, it slipped out of him. Namjoon. It wasn't a question. It was a verdict. Wyan's heart dropped to her stomach. He knows. Jungkook exhaled once, a broken, disbelieving laugh, pain and fury twisting together until he looked like a man standing on the edge of madness. You're scared of me touching you, he murmured, fingers brushing her trembling lower lip, but not scared to let him look at you. Wyn shook her head violently. No, Jungkook, that's not. Then why? He whispered, voice rough with something dangerously close to heartbreak. Why does his name live in your silence? He froze. His breath hitched, and something inside him finally snapped. Jungkook grabbed her waist, pulling her flush against him. His forehead crashing to her shoulder as he whispered, voice raw, guttural. I'm not losing you. His hand slid to the back of her neck, holding her in place as he spoke the words that sent chills down her spine. Not to another man. Not to fate. Not to fear. Not even to you. His lips grazed her skin, soft, desperate, claiming. Tonight you're mine, he breathed. And I'll make sure you never forget who you belong to. Jungkook's hands did not stop. His brain was filled with the venom of Namjoon's name. He fisted Hwan's hair, almost tearing her scalp as her shriek echoed the entire villa, and Jungkook's other hand tore her clothes desperately to see her skin. Jungkook. Jungkook, please don't ruin me, and pleaded him. But the monster was nowhere to be calmed now. He has set up the mission to claim her, and he will do it even without her consent, even if he have to force her. He would, without hesitation. Please Jungkook, I'm not ready to be a mother yet, please. She did not lose hope. She tried her level best to persuade Jungkook, but he has already turned into a monster. A monster desired to ravish her in all the wrong ways possible. Jungkook slammed his palm beside her head, caging her in as his shadow swallowed her whole. His voice cracked, raw, furious, trembling. You made me like this, love. Hwan's breath hitched. His face lowered until their noses nearly touched. His eyes wild, raw, jealous, desperate. Your love made me do this. He roared the words into her face, and the mattress shook with the force of his anger. Hwan lay frozen beneath him, her back pressed into the sheets, her heart pounding so violently she could feel it in her throat. Her fingers clawed at the silk beneath her, not to fight, but to stay conscious through the terror. His chest heaved above hers, muscles flexed, jaw clenched so hard it trembled. He looked like a man who had already lost himself. Jungkook's breath fanned her cheek as he leaned closer, voice breaking into something quieter. Darker. Don't look at me like I'm the villain, he whispered, eyes searching hers like he was begging for mercy he didn't deserve. You created this version of me when... the one who can't breathe unless you're mine. His forehead pressed to hers, hot and shaking. Jungkook's voice dropped to a low, trembling whisper. But now... Before Hwan could process the shift in his tone, Jungkook's hand moved behind her, reaching for something on the bed. Her breath stilled. It was the soft piece of cloth she had worn earlier that day. The same cloth she had let him hold. The same cloth that he tore shamelessly. Her heart cracked when she saw it in his hands. He lifted her wrists harshly. Hwan hissed in pain. Jungkook's rage blurred his thoughts and vision. He is unaware as to how much he is hurting the women he loves so much. And he tied up her hands to the bedpost. Hwan. Jungkook. What are you doing? Her voice broke, fear choking the words. The rage is nowhere to be calming down. Your pleading was only fueling his anger. He looked at you with bloodshot eyes, which instantly made her quiet. Jungkook very harshly unbuckled his belt as if his patience was ticking. Jungkook was now to the side of the bed and Hwan laid half-naked, helpless and in a shattered position. Her dignity was at stake and she is unable to do anything but accept the disgrace thrown at her face by her so-called beloved husband. Jungkook wrapped the belt around his hand. Jungkook, count wife. Loudlier. The words slammed against the walls, vibrating through the room. It felt like even the villa flinched. Like even the house itself feared what he was becoming. The air turned thick, unbreathable. Hwan's heart hammered against her ribs, her throat tightening, breath stuttering. Jungkook. His eyes snapped to hers, wild, dark, unhinged. Jungkook, don't make me repeat myself. Silence swallowed the space between them. Outside, the ocean crashed violently against the cliffs, as if Jeju itself sensed the storm tearing him apart. Hwan shut her eyes from even witnessing what he is going to do to her. A sudden stroke of belt hit her inner thigh, making her body jerked. Her voice escaped her throat in a choked, trembling shriek she didn't even recognize as her own. The sound tore through the candlelit room, raw and shaky, and the moment it left her lips, her whole body flinched from the force of it, as if she'd startled herself, as if her own voice had betrayed her. Her wrists tugged instinctively against the cloth, chest rising and falling too fast, eyes wide and stinging. Jungkook froze for half a second, not because he pitied her, but because hearing her scream, hearing her voice shake like that, fed the fire already tearing him apart. Jungkook, counter. Jungkook commanded, even though his heart was tearing seeing you in such a state. Hwan slowly controlled herself, dumping her dignity, dumping her self-respects, and finally dumping her own morals for her own husband. Hwan uttered with great difficulty. She said, tearing her soul. Jungkook slammed again, but now on her stomach. Hwan shrieked again, but she forcefully closed her mouth to suppress her cry. Jungkook kept going, striking her for 15 more times. But Jungkook's anger was still in his eyes, ain't going away even after abusing her. He laid on top of her, kissing more like eating her up, while his hands did the rest, tearing the rest of the clothes on his wife. And Hwan just laid under him, accepting her life. The atmosphere in the room snapped like a wire pulled too tight. Jungkook moved on her slowly, like a man who already knew she belonged to him, and was done pretending otherwise. His jaw locked, his expression twisted with jealousy, fear, and something far more dangerous. Look at me, he demanded. Hwan lifted her eyes, trembling, from fear of him, from the intensity he exuded, from the way the darkness in him reached straight for her. Do you know what drives me insane? He whispered, pressing her against the mattress. You breathe and I lose control. You blink and I lose control. You so much as look at someone else. His hand slammed beside her on the headboard. Hwan flinched hard and tears dropping down as petals fall on moss. And I become a man I don't even recognize. His thumb brushed her tears away with a tenderness that contradicted the fire raging in his eyes. His voice dropped, threading emotion and obsession together in a way that made her chest ache. I'm jealous because I love you, he confessed through gritted teeth. I'm possessive because I'd burn the world before I'd let it take you from me. Her breath hitched. He caught her, as if he owned every heartbeat she had. Say you're mine, he whispered. She said with great difficulty. It felt to her as if she is cutting her head down and placing it on a plate for him to admire. I'm yours, she said, trembling as her body still aching from all the scars he has given her. That was it. That was the moment he broke. He gripped her, firm, desperate, claiming. His lips crashed into hers with a hunger sharpened by fear and longing, forcing a gasp from her that only fueled him further. His hands were everywhere, holding her exactly where he wanted her, exactly where she couldn't escape the depth of what he felt. I can't lose you, he murmured against her lips, breath shaking. I need you. I need to feel you choose me. Even when I'm like this. His breath shuddered. Good, he growled. Because I'm done holding back. He hovering above her, dominant, emotional, unrestrained. His voice broke into a whisper that sounded almost like a confession, almost like a threat. I'm going to love you, he promised, like a man who's terrified of losing you. The room dimmed, his silhouette moving over her, the tension shattering into heat and shadows. The night blurred into breathless whispers, rough kisses, tangled sheets, and Jungkook's voice. Deep, possessive, trembling. And moaning with the pain Jungkook is giving her while Jungkook was groaning from how her body was so petite under him and how small she feels in his arms. Mine. The word left Jungkook's lips like a vow carved from the edge of his soul. He pulled away just enough to see her, when lying beneath him, chest rising and falling in uneven breaths, her body trembling from exhaustion, not conscious, drained, overwhelmed, undone. Her cheeks stained with tears and heat. Jungkook's gaze darkened. She looked ruined. Ruined because of him. And something inside him twisted. Pride, guilt, hunger, love, all tangled into a knot he couldn't begin to unravel. He brushed her cheek with the back of his knuckles, eyes tracing the marks he'd left. The playful ones, not the ones she liked. The belt marks. Those were the ones that made his jaw clench, his chest burn. Even your pain is mine, he whispered, voice cracking in a way he'd never let her hear if she were fully awake. But these. His fingers hovered over the darker bruises. These shouldn't have been. His breath shook, but his eyes never softened. I did this, he murmured. I pushed you. I hurt you. He bowed his head for the briefest second. And you still said you were mine. He looked at her again, so small against the sheets, tangled in his touch, wrapped in the evidence of his rage and obsession. It destroyed him, completed him, terrified him. And it made him certain of one thing. He could never let her go. Jungkook lowered himself beside her, pulling her into his chest, holding her as if the world outside the bedroom didn't exist, as if she were the only reason he was still breathing. His lips hovered over her temple, and he whispered the kind of confession that only came out in the dark, when no one else could hear. I don't know how to love you gently, he said. I only know how to love you like this. Too much, too hard, too deep. I was scared of losing you, but now we have a lot of time, love, and once the baby comes we can be together forever, and I will learn to love you like how you want me to love you. His hand curled around her waist, possessive even in his remorse. But I promise you, he breathed against her skin, I'll learn. For you. And then almost dangerously soft. Because losing you is the one thing I'll destroy myself before allowing. Jungkook sat on the edge of the bed, breath uneven as he looked down at her. The candlelight flickered softly across Wyan's skin, illuminating every mark he had left on her. Every bruise, every faint line, every place he'd lost control. His chest tightened, pain, guilt, and a strange kind of reverence tangling in his throat. Slowly, with hands that were too careful for a man like him, Jungkook dipped a cloth into warm water and began tending to her wounds. He didn't rush. He didn't speak. He just worked. Every time she winced in her sleep, his jaw clenched. Every time his fingers brushed the belt marks, his breath trembled. This is my fault, he muttered under his breath, voice cracking. All of it. He cleaned each bruise with such gentle precision that it felt like repentance. When he finished, he wrapped the soft bandages around the worst areas, brushing stray strands of hair off her face with the back of his hand. Then he dressed her carefully, sliding her arms through the sleeves of a soft cotton nightgown, adjusting the fabric so nothing irritated her injuries. He moved slowly, as if she were made of glass. Once he was done, he lifted her just enough to slip fresh pillows beneath her and pulled the blanket over her body. She looked peaceful, breakable, and heartbreakingly beautiful. Jungkook sat beside her for a long moment, just watching her breathe, brushing the side of her cheek with his fingers. I'm sorry, he whispered, not loudly, not for her to hear. A confession meant only for the empty air, and I'll take every ounce of this pain back into myself. He leaned down, kissing her forehead softly, so softly it almost didn't feel real. Then he stood. He picked up the shirt and trousers he discarded on the floor earlier and put them back on, not bothering with neatness. His eyes never left her until he reached the door. Before stepping out, he whispered one last thing into the dim room. You'll be safe, even if I have to bleed for you. Jungkook's expression shifted the second he stepped outside the bedroom. Gentleness wiped away, replaced with a cold, ruthless mask the world knew too well. The guards straightened instantly. Jungkook's voice cut through the silence like a command carved from steel. Listen carefully, he said. I want all of you on your toes. Every guard stiffened. Wine will try to run. Jungkook continued calmly, almost quietly, yet dangerously. Even when she has no access, no route, no map, no chance. His gaze sharpened. She will still try. The guards nodded, fear rippling through their ranks. Stay alert, he warned. Because if she slips past you, just once, I will not forgive any of you. The air thickened. And I don't repeat myself. They bowed, trembling. Jungkook descended the stairs slowly, purposefully. His footsteps echoed off the concrete walls. Joshua, he called. A tall, muscular guard stepped forward, nervousness already visible in his eyes. Yes, sir. Come inside, Jungkook said. Alone, Joshua bade. The door shut behind them. Jungkook stood in the center of the basement, shoulders squared, eyes burning with something unspoken. Hit me, Joshua blinked. Yes, sir. Jungkook's jaw flexed. Hit me, he repeated, as hard as a man can, and do not stop until I say, sir, I can't. Jungkook pulled a gun from his waistband and pressed it against Joshua's chest. If you don't, Jungkook said quietly, I'll shoot you right here. Joshua froze, breath shaking. Jungkook lowered the gun barely. I need to feel it, he said, voice haunted.
The pain I branded into the only person I can't live without.